the industry gets quite caught up in the big things like EV and solar and all these massive sectors that people are making loads and loads of money in.
Yeah.
And they kind of overlook all the products that we use day to day.
Yeah.
You know, we can make huge time savings or massive improvements to products, but they're not looking at it because there's all these things out there where they're going, Christ, we can make loads of money.
Theo Webster, finally got you here.
I'm here.
A couple of failed attempts, I know, especially online. Sorry about that, mate. But really appreciate you coming in to see us. I know you've had a long drive, but let's get straight into it, mate. We're talking about innovation within the construction sector. And before we get into the first question, I came across a quote last week from Arch Daily, which I thought, that's really, really appropriate. Yeah. So I wanted to start with that and then see where the conversation takes us. So it says, if we compare the state of car manufacturing a few decades ago and how it is now, it's clear how much the automotive industry has evolved. In the field of construction, however, the reality is different. Many processes remain virtually unchanged with the use of inefficient materials and techniques and an extremely slow adoption of new technology. In fact, in many contexts, it's still highly artisanal, relying on extensive use of raw materials and labour. Innovation in construction is driven by a spirit of exploration, experimentation, and continuous search for improvement, and fosters a mindset of creativity, openness to change, and willingness to take risks. Often this involves applying new technologies, approaches, and perspectives to improve efficiency, effectiveness, sustainability, user experience, and overall performance. But it can also be seen in the more ingenious and efficient use of existing resources. In essence, it's about coming up with new ideas, challenging the status quo, and making meaningful contributions that drive progress and lead to positive transformations across a range of domains. How would you respond to that as a contractor?
It's a lot in there, isn't
Yeah, it's a bit chunky. I'm glad I got through it without stuttering.
Do you know what? Because you told me you were going to drop that in. I've not heard it myself. And I think it's true. Like you say, there's been huge innovation in like EV and things like that. But the construction industry, we are quite hesitant to accept new products, even though quite a lot of your products, they are essentially the same products, but just developed to improve, like you say, time saving or money saving, whatever. But we're just so hesitant to take up on it.
Why? Why do you think it is? Because I know we were talking before we started recording, and the one that came up was roller tray. Yeah. And we were saying that one's been harder for people to accept or adopt over Conlock and Rapid Scale.
And I think part of the reason is if you see the price of roller tray, but you don't necessarily know enough about it. Yeah. You look at the bottom line and you go, okay, it's more expensive. But when you actually put it side by side with all the ancillary bits you need with tray and the equivalent length and everything else, it's actually probably exactly the same price, I would have said.
Well, I mean, when you factor in based on the exercises that we've done, which are available on our website for anybody wondering, we've, as you say, factored in the cost of the traditional materials versus the innovation. Yeah. And then when you start putting in what's the cost of even an apprentice? And how long does it take so take Conlock, for example, what's the cost to install one box or per spout? Yeah. And then how does that compare to the innovation? And then over time you save, I mean, that's why we could say 75% labour savings. And
definitely. I think the trouble is a lot of people, they don't see that saving in labour because they're just looking at that figure when they're costing a job. They look at that and they don't necessarily adjust to suit. Because if you did a huge commercial project and you were floor installation using roller tray, and you could save yourself potentially 2 weeks of labour over 6 months, say. Yeah. Say that was £20,000 worth of labour. Well, if you reduced your price by £10,000, you're more competitive and you're going to increase your profits by £10,000.
Yeah, so exactly.
But we're just all quite closed-minded, I think. And
well, so what would you? I mean, because you're the reason you're sat here today talking to us exclusively about innovation is because you've adopted these products and you accept that they're a slightly higher price. I mean, I know you've promoted Hilti and Spit in the past as well. Yeah. So why have you taken them on, and why do you think others are so closed-minded? Not closed-minded's a bit,
I think,
insulting. It's not closed-minded.
Being younger as well, coming into the industry, things like Instagram and YouTube play a massive part of how I look at the industry and new innovations and new products and things like that, because we've got much more exposure, whereas older contractors just don't. They completely rely on your wholesaler. But I think I've taken them on. I like to do things a little bit differently, maybe, perhaps, and I like to try new things. I don't want to follow the rest of the sheep, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Try and do something a bit
Bit
different.
of a renegade.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's good to try these new products, because it's all well and good, like you say. So many people just look at it and go, "Oh no, it's not." You know, we've used this product for 30 years.
We've always done this.
Yeah. But it's so much better. There's potentially something out there that could change your life.
Yeah.
You know, change how your business runs, your profits, everything. So I like to give it a go. Yeah.
Staying in that vein, the biggest criticism I would argue that we get, and is predominantly related to Conlock, which is the fast fix steel conduit system, is you're removing the skill from the job. Now, I appreciate that because with Conlock you don't have to thread your conduit tube, and you've got your ribbon deburring.
You're still having to bend your pipe.
Yeah.
Do you know, which is where I would say the skill is in conduit work. It all comes down to bending. That's how you make a job look really good.
Yeah.
But the Conlock, because a lot of companies, particularly bigger companies, they still thread manually with stock and dies.
Yeah.
You know, even though they've got all these great threaders out there, which save so much time, ridiculous amounts of time. I bought a threader for a job, and we saved weeks and weeks of time. But your Conlock product sort of accommodates that, removes that need for that. Allen key grub screw, I think it is.
Yeah, a little grub screw. Nip it up.
Maintain your earth continuity still.
Yeah.
So I would disagree that it's removing the skill, because I don't think the threading is any skilled part of that.
Okay.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So but I know why people say things like that though. Particularly with going back to roller tray again, but we talked about this before. Now, so we were saying it removes the skill of manufacturing bends and things. But what you're finding now is a lot of commercial projects, they actually specify you have to use prefabricated bends. So it's happening anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so
it just looks more traditional.
It does look more traditional.
Yeah.
So again, it just comes down to people being a bit set in their ways, and we need to get them out.
Yeah. Well, on the same criticism of removing the skill from the job, another response that I would argue as well is there's a massive labour issue within the industry at the moment. I don't know how that is for you presently.
At the moment, okay, actually, because I've found quite a few. They've been talking about it a while. There's going to be a bit of a lull. We've had this boom for the last 3 years. Thank you, COVID. And it is starting to slow down. I've noticed it. I've certainly had fewer inquiries. They're different inquiries, but we've had fewer. And I've recently had two electricians come to me saying I've got no work, which is great. I've got plenty on, so I'm happy to take people on whenever.
Right.
But labour shortage. They're always talking about, particularly with colleges, there are fewer people coming in to the industry. Which is, and I noticed I've been doing it 14 years, and when I was at college, we had a small class compared to what there had been previously. So there was only 7 of us that started, I think.
Right.
And only 3 of us actually qualified.
Wow.
So, if you're looking at that, but nationwide, those figures are so small.
Absolutely.
And but so I think, well, what was your question again?
Well, it's just on the on the labour, because people say, you're removing the skill from the job, and but when you've got a labour shortage, which is what we're being told, and you can save, stick with Conlock, you've got 75% labour saving, and then you see a stat like this, which I've pulled from the Office of National Statistics, was that the industry has lost more than 1/3 of EU-born workers since 2017. And there's an industry training board that estimates that to meet 2027's demand, we'll need an extra 225,000 workers.
That's mad. Because I think in the UK currently, I had a look at this before I came up here, there's something like 230,000 employed electricians in the UK and about 350,000 in all sectors.
Yeah.
So like you said, if we need to increase by X amount to be able to accommodate for it, but if we're using innovative products like Conlock or roller tray, you're actually almost, not completely, removing the need for that extra labour, but you're certainly reducing it. Because of the time saving, so
exactly. So we're trying to keep the wheels in motion. and answer another challenge, which I don't know how much better that's going to get.
Yeah.
Or worse.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, really interesting. Do you think that, I know we've kind of touched on it already, but do you think that the construction sector as a whole, falls behind generally when it comes to innovation? Now, this doesn't have to be just product. It could be technologically. I mean, if you look at technology, BIM, for example.
Yeah.
So we've been BIM ready for, it was even before I joined, so since 2015, maybe even earlier.
Yeah.
And although it's a requirement on public sector jobs of a certain value, it's still the take-up's quite slow.
Yeah. I think the industry gets quite caught up in the big things like EV and solar and all these massive sectors that people are making loads and loads of money in.
Yeah.
And they kind of overlook all the products that we use day to day.
Yeah.
You know, we can make huge time savings or massive improvements to products, but they're not looking at it because there's all these things out there where they're going, Christ, we can make loads of money.
And it's not sexy, you know. I mean, what do you want to look at more, a light or conduit tube?
Yeah. I like a bit of conduit myself.
Good to know.
But I think we've just been blinded by these other things, which is great. We still need to obviously see developments like that. But I think products like yours, they just go hand in hand with that as well, though. So we need to stop looking at these individual things and look at the bigger picture and everything else that goes with it, and actually just try and we can just make such big differences.
Absolutely. How much of a role do you think wholesalers play in this?
Quite a bit, yeah. So like we were saying earlier, they're just, I think they're always looking for the easy sell. As a commercial contractor, it's quite often, sometimes you will just forward your plans over. Right, I need a lighting design done, containment design, whatever. Spec it for me, and they'll go for the easy sell because they know what tray is and Unistrut or whatever. Metpro channel.
Thank you.
And so they'll just price those products because they know. You as a contractor know roughly what that's going to cost. You have an idea in your head. But if you suddenly chuck in a new innovative product and it's more expensive without thinking about it, without looking at actually it is cheaper because of all the ancillaries, it can be a bit of a deterrent. And likewise, if you've got Rexel quoting against CEF or whoever, and someone's pricing for Metpro roller tray and someone's pricing for standard tray, the prices can vary quite a bit, perhaps. Yeah. So, and unfortunately, we all look at the bottom line a bit more maybe than we should.
I don't know. I mean,
it's important. It's
the most important thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're going to save on your labour. Yeah. Which you don't necessarily factor in when you're looking at something like that.
No, it's definitely it's a mindset change. Yeah, which is the hardest thing to do. Yeah, it really is.
I mean, for someone like myself, though, I would take a product like Conlock or roller tray and I'd price for the standard way of doing things. Right. Because that's what my competitors do. Yeah. So I'm going to fall in line with the rest of them, but then I'm going to use your product and I'm going to save money. Yeah. Because you've had that extra step. Exactly, yeah. Which often it's almost always forgotten. So in the experiences I've had when speaking with people. Yeah. And it's taken that. You are right. There's too much focus on the bottom line, and I know that margins are quite typically quite razor thin at certain It's getting points. Worse, to be honest, as well. Right. They're contractors. They do. I don't really do big housing sites, but they're particularly bad for it. Yeah. They're scrimping on everything.
It's just race to the bottom
mentality. It is really, yeah. Like I said, race to the bottom, yeah, which is such a shame. Because we all, at the same time, we're all trying to achieve the best, but at the lowest price. And we all want the best, and it's just like, we need to bring it back a bit, meet in the middle. You can't expect top quality for bottom dollar.
Well, that's quite ironic. I mean, you think that we've, the whole... you're removing the skill from the job, but people certainly, and this is purely my personal opinion, although I would say it probably echoes that of Metpro, is that people don't consider the quality enough. And I know that profit is obviously the most important thing. It's what pays the bills, what keeps things running and keeps the economy going. I understand that. I'm not stupid. But I think I'm trying to say there's a bit more of an innovative way of thinking about things in that if you're buying a product based on price and you're ignoring or not giving enough credence to the quality aspect of it, what ramifications is that going to have further down the line?
Yeah.
I mean, have you experienced that? Have you ever had bad quality? You've gone, now I've got to strip that out and I've got to go back to my wholesaler and get it, get it refunded or replaced.
Perhaps not so much with containment. Well, we have obviously we've talked about that.
Yeah, but not Metpro stuff, obviously.
Obviously not Metpro. And you've just got that sort of poor quality control, perhaps. So you're getting products that are on the shelf being sold then that aren't as they should be, and it can affect your install quite drastically.
Yeah.
But obviously Metpro, having now looked around, like you say, your quality control is really good.
Yeah,
and so it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But I think there's a lot of, because obviously it's difficult for you because you're trying to make sure you're competitive as well, price wise.
Yeah, it's certainly a balance.
But you're trying to give that better customer service, the better quality product, and everything else. It's difficult. And then people like myself, I look for that. I would sooner I'd happily spend more for a better quality product, whereas a lot of companies not necessarily would do that.
Okay, well, people sole traders who operate at a similar level to you.
Yeah.
Do you think that you're seeing that mindset shift in a positive way or in more of a negative way? I don't know how much insight you've got into this, but
I don't know, a bit of both maybe, because the great thing about more younger people coming into the industry is I think, are more incited to use products like yours.
Right.
Instagram plays a big part, certainly for me and for younger people. You learn a lot about products that you wouldn't necessarily know about, and like I say, wholesalers aren't actually pushing it out as much as perhaps you would necessarily like.
Well, no, I mean
they shouldn't have to. I suppose that's perhaps not necessarily their job, but it's But I think there's a lot of people out there who are still willing just to use cheap, nasty rubbish. Like I priced a job recently, it was domestic barn conversion, and I was £10,000 more than another company. And the guy came back to me. He wanted me to do the job because he's seen our stuff online, quality and things like that, and he's like, "Can you do anything?" And I was like, "Not £10,000, I can't."
Yeah,
not a chance.
Serious.
Don't get me wrong. It was a huge building, huge barn conversion.
Yeah,
not a cheap project by any means, and he wanted quite high spec.
Right,
but £10,000, and I'd guarantee at least 60% of that just comes down to products that are being used.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying. What happens when I'm not? It's obviously not a foregone conclusion. But you go and put that into this barn conversion. Then what happens if something does go wrong? Yeah. I don't know.
Well, because not many companies, in terms of suppliers, would cover you for losses. So if I had fitted something and that went wrong or whatever, not many of them would. They'll try and wiggle their way out of it. Yeah. That's installer error or whatever. But right. I think if I install something that is a better quality, yes, it's going to cost me more, but I'm not going to have to go back. Yeah. I'm not going to have to go and replace these things. And like with your systems, especially with the Conlock actually, which I really do like, it's so easy to adapt. Regular conduit systems, you've got to undo things, take out more parts, whereas you don't necessarily have to do that quite so much with Conlock. So it's, in terms of adapting systems as well, maintaining as well, it'd be so much easier, time saving for clients and myself. So
well, we've tried to, I mean, that's one of the things that we consider, and I don't know how aware people are, probably not that aware in truth of the thought process and the work that goes in behind the scenes to bring these products to market, because we're certainly not trying to bring in, it's not just a cash grab moment for us. Obviously that's important, because it would be ridiculous to say that it's not. But we are trying to answer or solve challenges.
But like with all innovation though, it's the products you're bringing out are all things, when we see them we go, oh, I could have thought of that.
It is. It's one of those. Oh, that's obvious. Why didn't I do it?
Why didn't I do it? Yeah.
Exactly. It was like I was listening to something a few weeks ago, and it hasn't even been that long that someone thought, why don't we put wheels on suitcases? And the guy was set for life after that, and it really wasn't that long ago. Everyone was just lugging these things around. So it is those quick and easy, and that's. I mean, we're always on the lookout for that kind of stuff. We're trying to think of things ourselves with our product development team. And as I said to you, if any ideas, just talk to us. and we'll look to partner up with you. But yeah, like I say, we're trying to answer challenges and make life easier for people.
Yeah.
At least that's the intention anyway.
Yeah.
How much credence do you put? I know this is slightly off topic, but how much weight or how important are warranties and things like that to you?
Reasonably.
Okay.
I think, particularly with products that are quite expensive. So, for instance, we've just fitted a load of hand dryers on a project.
Right.
And the client wanted quality. So we went with Dyson,
a
good quality product. And you get a good warranty with that. So I think, warranties can be quite important, particularly with like when you talk about lighting.
Yeah.
That can vary massively.
Right.
From 1 year, or 7-year warranty with 2 years on-site warranty on top of that as well. So they vary massively from different manufacturers. So that can definitely play a factor, but more for the client's sake, I would have thought, than mine.
Yeah.
But, I think it's definitely a big factor when selecting certain products. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a bit of a shameless plug, I realise, so forgive me, but we do offer, because we're so confident in the quality of our product and the system. On the traditional tube, you get 5 years, and on Conlock as a system, you get 7. Just to give that extra peace of mind and go that extra mile.
Yeah, just give you confidence there as an installer.
Yeah, well, that's the intention.
If someone's willing to put that stamp on it and say, we're confident enough.
100%.
Yeah.
So. Have you ever come across any products, and obviously I'm not asking to name names, this is purely curiosity to be honest, but have you ever come across any quote unquote innovations that you've seen that are a bit of a cash grab or not?
Probably.
Like 3D TVs.
Yeah, it never took off, did it?
Not at all. Everyone sat there with glasses on for about 6 weeks and then it just stopped.
Yeah, I thought it looked ridiculous.
I hope you say no, to be honest.
I'm certain there probably is. I should have thought about this a bit more maybe with that. Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay. Maybe some people who are listening have come across something.
Let us know. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Do a name and shame. Certainly not the intention. Okay. And just to kind of wrap up this section purely on innovation.
Yeah.
How do you think, I know we've probably touched on certain points, but how do you think we can innovate better as an industry, as a collective?
Just being a bit more open-minded, I think, with things. It's, we've said loads of times, it's just because we've used the same product for the last 50 years doesn't mean it's necessarily the best option out there. And I think people, people are just scared to try new things. But I think we need to get past that and actually, because we're always so quick to take up on a new tool.
Yeah.
Because it's shiny and
it's
pretty.
Exciting.
And it is. But I think we need to sort of bring that into products as well. And I think that's why I'm a little bit like that. I am a bit of a snob with stuff like that.
Right.
I like to have nice things, the tools, or and same with products. I like to install. There are certain products I will not fit because I think they're rubbish.
Okay.
And I think a lot of companies don't do that. They will just pick the cheapest thing.
Or we've always done it this way, so I don't want to change.
We've always done it this way, or whatever. And I think we just need to change that mindset, and it will come in time. A lot of the big contractors, all the bigwigs, are older chaps typically, or females, and as they sort of move out and people like myself sort of move into those roles, hopefully we'll see these systems being adopted more in day-to-day life rather than just for special projects where you think you can make a nice YouTube video.
Well, I think so. I mean, the pace of life certainly isn't slowing down.
Yeah.
And I mean, Conlock products like that they're more geared to commercial industrial work.
Yeah.
I appreciate, but
I don't know. A lot of people do like it in the house now.
Well, do you know what? I got some photos. I want to say yesterday or the day before from a contractor based in Wolverhampton, who he'd done. It was like someone's home pub or something, and it was all exposed, and it looked great. And I've mentioned before that there's a shop that I go to, a cafe down in the. God, I sound a bit snobby now, but down in the Cotswolds, and it's all exposed tube, and it's really rustic, and it looks great.
Yeah, we did one a few years ago in Braunton. It was a cafe renovation, and it was all sort of, like old floorboards on the walls. And we exposed conduit work everywhere. And it looked amazing.
It looks awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously it costs a little bit more because it's labour intensive, but unless you're using products like Conlock, you can bring that back. But but it does look good, and I think more and more people, especially like yourself here, you've got a boardroom where you can bring people in and do things like this and that.
Yeah,
and it's quite nice if you can make a feature out of it.
Yeah,
make a
that's
room
certainly
look
the
really
plan.
Cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Do you think that we talk enough as an industry? And when I say talk enough,
we talk too much.
We do at the moment, yeah. But I mean, from manufacturer through to wholesaler, contractor, and then ongoing facilities management.
Yeah.
Do you think we talk enough at all?
I think it's getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, I find myself talking to people like you more than I ever had done in the past.
Yeah.
So, actually speaking to manufacturers rather than just relying on your wholesaler.
Yeah.
And who don't necessarily have your best interest at heart.
Right.
And it's nice to speak to directly. I think that works better because, again, going back to wholesalers just chasing that easy sale, they're not necessarily going to push certain things out to people. But I think, and like Metpro having I'm trying to think of the word, presence on Instagram and things like that.
Yeah.
That's pushing it out to people who normally wouldn't even necessarily known who you were.
No.
So it's, again, like we said before, Conduit just used to be Conduit, but now people are actually looking at it as a brand.
Yeah.
I like this brand because they do such and such.
Yeah.
Over, whoever. So
are you seeing that as well then? Because I've said this for the past, very, very recent, like the past 6 to 8 weeks even. And I've heard so many more people, like our direct customers in the wholesaler, people like yourself at the end user level, using the word brand, and I never thought I would hear that in the construction industry.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It seems to be much more prominent now.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, because so many of us now document our work.
Yeah.
It's important.
It is. Yeah.
It's so important. So we're all, I want to be seen as somebody who uses quality products.
Yeah.
And, if you're putting out some images and it's got some absolutely horrendous products in or badly installed, it's not going to look good for you, is it? So like I say, brand I think is more important now than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah. And what do you think, what would you say, no, I'll rephrase that. Do you think that there's any significant risk or risk at all for those contractors who don't want to adopt innovative ways of working generally?
Well, in time, they'll be pricing themselves out of a job because they'll be using products that take longer to fit. And other contractors will be coming in, perhaps not like myself, where you're just accepting the fact that, we'll price it the same and then we'll make the extra money or whatever.
Yeah.
People will come in and they'll price it cheaper because they can save all this time. And they'll notice that, one, they'll lose work because they're too expensive, but also they're just, like I said, they're not innovating. They're not using the latest products, which a lot of clients do want.
Yeah.
They want things so it's going to last.
Yeah.
And if you can install something that's better and going to be there for longer, that's what you want, isn't it? So.
And I would imagine, and I could be completely wrong, but I would expect that when you've got a customer, certainly in more of a domestic setting, you're in someone's house.
Yeah.
The sooner you can get the job done to a high standard that they expect and get out,
they're happy.
Arguably, it's the better because they've saved money on tea bags.
Yeah. They do want you in and out. So with these projects, obviously, I've been talking to you about the Wi-Fi installations we're doing across the country. The deadlines we have are ridiculous.
Right.
We need to be in and out. So cost isn't necessarily an issue. It's more time. Yeah. So again, your products have been key in that. Yeah. Because we can go in and install it a lot quicker than we would have. If we've been able to save 50% or 75% of our time. Yeah. It's bloody ideal. So.
Good. No, it's really, really good to hear. And I've no doubt that my superiors will also be like, thanks, Theo. Really appreciate that. Okay. So just one last question for you really then, which we have kind of, we've touched on, but Penultimate question. Sorry, mate, I couldn't even read my own writing then. What do you think are the biggest opportunities, or what do you think is the biggest opportunity for the industry? Certainly in the, like effectively now, and then in the future.
Crikey.
I know.
Broad subject.
Yeah. Get your philosopher's head on.
I think, again, go back to social media. More people when I started, Facebook was a big thing in terms of advertising business. You could do it on there for free, effectively, and a lot of people would pick up contact you for work. But I think Instagram and YouTube now are going to be huge for that. They're some platforms that just used to be for putting up pictures so your friends could see it. Now people are using it to find contractors because they've got this portfolio that goes back 10 years. So they can see, okay, this guy's got a track record. So I think that, it's going to be, I think the biggest opportunity for us as contractors is to utilize those things.
Yeah.
And then, we can use products like yours, and it just makes you stand out from the crowd. Yeah. And I think, that's a difficult question to answer, actually.
Sorry. No, but you are right. Social media it's so, I believe, and I would say this because I'm biased because I'm in marketing. I know that. Yeah. But it is so important, and it has been, from my perspective, in fact, the best thing we've done in the past 4 years. We've always had a bit of a presence, but we really put a lot of time and effort into it. Yeah. To get our brand, the name out there, and we've had some fantastic success with it. And you're seeing a lot more people like yourself with these growing channels. And that's it. Slowly. No, it's going really well. I mean, the videos that you put out are so satisfying to watch. There was the one when you were lifting. Oh, what was it? You have to remind me.
Oh, the big fan unit.
Yeah, it was just like, wow, it's incredible.
Gotta think out the box a little bit. Stuff like that.
But it's a nice insight into what you actually, what you're doing, and the level of skill and commitment and dedication that's involved.
Well, the problem with the electrical and mechanical industry, 90% of our stuff is never seen.
Yeah, we know.
And do you know what I mean? So, and again, that's probably half the reason why people aren't willing to use products like this.
Yeah, they're not sexy.
It's not a sexy product. Yeah.
We accept that.
And it's half the time it's going to be hidden. Yeah. So they just don't care.
Maybe we should do like a roller tray calendar or something. Yeah. Put it in different poses over the 12 months.
Yeah. Different poses. Yeah.
All our customers could expect one of those. January the 1st. Yeah. Okay. I think, to be honest, my last question was coming back to how we can work better as an industry. But I think from what you're saying, you're really keen on this. I mean, I know you are because we've spoken so much. But you're really keen on this on this dialogue. Just as a bit of a disclaimer as well for anybody listening, the intention with this podcast, the reason that we started doing it was to open up conversations like this and have these honest, really candid conversations at all levels of the supply chain.
But I'm not paid by Metpro.
No, yet.
But it's
hide that contract.
Like I say, honest conversations from people who are actually using the products. Yeah, there's things like that actually you do need, because like if a wholesaler is saying, oh yeah, get this, but they're trying to sell you something. Yeah, I'm not trying to sell anybody anything, so. I use it, and I believe in it. I believe in the product. It has saved me time on jobs, inevitably saving me money. Yeah, and that's why I was more than happy to come and speak to you.
Absolutely. So and even if you, and this is where those above me will hate me for saying it, but if you hated our products, and if anybody does hate our products, we're happy to talk to you about it in this way, because
I think that's quite good, because it's not just yourself, but other companies who I've been speaking to about tools and things like that as well. They've all got that sort of mindset, and I think that's really good, because it's all well and great putting out positive feedback. Yeah, you need that negativity to improve. Yeah, so absolutely, and it's good that you take that on board.
100%.
Yeah, so
all day. I mean, don't be too nasty to me if you do. I'm quite a sensitive soul. Yeah. But and like I say, we want to have more conversations. We've got a few lined up for throughout this year, which I think are going to be on a variety of different topics, which I think are going to be really interesting. But my little disclaimer is that although we're talking to Theo, who is a contractor, For any wholesalers listening, we sell exclusively to wholesalers.
Yeah.
So just wanted to get that in there. But I think that's been a really interesting conversation. It's certainly a great insight and into the mindset of, you know, of someone of your ilk. And it's so refreshing to speak to somebody who's forward thinking. And maybe this is, as you say, what we'll see as the younger generation starts to come through.
Yeah.
So
I hope so.
Yeah. So do I, because we'll sell more Conlock. Theo, I really appreciate you coming in. Just if you want to tell people where they can go watch your videos.
So Theo Webster Electrical on YouTube and Instagram. Go and check us out. We're always trying to put out new content. So
yeah, they're great videos. And yeah, please go and support Theo. We'll obviously put the links in the description. And once again, really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully you come back in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's good to finally meet you face to face.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks, mate.
Nice one. Thank you.